Hey everyone, you're listening to the Simple Electronics podcast. I'm your host, Simple Electronics, and with me today I've got a very special guest, Faffa. How are you, Faffa?
I'm very well, thanks, Simple, and you?
I'm pretty good as well. You know, we've had our first sunny day here in the last week and a half. How's the weather down in South Africa where you are?
At the moment, it is getting to winter. It's cooling down a bit. Some areas there's been lots of rain in the last few days, but where we are extremely dry, and we need some rain urgently. But yeah, otherwise we're going into winter, so it's cooling down a bit. But days are still good.
Oh yeah, we just finished winter, and in Canada, winter is not fun. I don't know how it is in South Africa, so to speak, but in Canada, it could be pretty brutal.
Yeah, I understand that. For us, it's, I suppose where you are in South Africa, there are parts which are getting really cold, where temperatures do drop down to -10 and that. But where we are, it is pretty moderate. If we get a, a low of 2 or 3 at night, we consider it an extremely cold night that we had. So we're pretty moderate in our area.
That's hilarious because like I said, it was warming up here, and last night it was 2 degrees Celsius, and today during the day I think it hit 18. I think it's around 18 degrees right now. So that's
Yeah.
for Canada that's pretty warm, but where I live specifically in Ottawa, it'll go up with the humidex up to plus 40 in the summer. So it gets really cold and really hot.
Oh, good. So you at least you get a decent summer and a decent winter. It's not that you don't know where you are in the seasons.
Exactly. Yeah, there's not much flip-flopping. But before we get derailed too much, Fafa, can you actually just tell the listeners who you are and what you do?
Yes, I will do that. Firstly, I want to say thank you very much for this opportunity, Simple, to join you on this podcast. To me, it's a great privilege, as I've been subscribed to your channel for a while, and I really enjoy your content. So I am rather honored to have this opportunity. Formally, I'm Francois Anker, and I am a teacher at the moment at a technical high school in South Africa. To be honest, it's the oldest technical high school. It's called Daniel Pienaar. We are now, this year, 126 years old. And we've got all the technical subjects, but we've got electrical, mechanical, civil, and then it's also divided into subsections. Electrical, we've got power systems, which are your heavy current, and then also electronics and digital systems. Our mechanical section is fitting and turning and motor mechanics, and then the civil, we've got construction. So that's where I find myself at the moment, and I'm teaching electrical, focusing on digital systems and electronics, as well as technology and EGD, which is engineering, graphics, and design. So I've been teaching now, I think this is my 7th year that I've been teaching. So prior to that, I was a maintenance technician in the milk industry here in South Africa. And I also went to school at Daniel Pienaar a few years ago. I matriculated here in 1991.
Oh, very neat. So you've been within the walls of those schools for way more than most students then.
Gladly so, yes. We try to get the students out in 5 years, like we should.
Yeah. As you know, I teach college too, and sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. Sometimes some people need a little bit more of a push and a little bit more I don't know what age range that the students you see are, but I see everything from actually this semester I'm teaching high school students, so I get sort of 16, 17-ish year olds, and I get them all the way up to, I think my oldest student was about 65. So I got a big
Awesome.
range. And some of the younger students, they do very well in some parts of the class, but not in others. And if they fail the class, they come back, and they come back with that little bit more maturity, because it takes a year to come back at least.
Yeah.
And I feel like that little bit more of maturity is what really helps them out, and they do very well the second time around. I don't know if you have the same kind of experience with your students.
In some cases, yes, that's very much true. But in some cases, especially in the lower grades, let me put it in context. We go from grade 8 to grade 12, so it's around 13, 14 to 18, 19, perhaps thereabouts, depending on the learner's history. Um, but yeah, sometimes in the younger grades, they tend, or some of them tend not to mature so quick. But yeah, around grade 10, when they get to 16, they seem to mature quicker, and then what you say certainly becomes more true. If they don't do well a year, they mature, and they come back stronger the next year.
Yeah, it's really cool to see a student grow like that too. Like, you get to spend a bit more time, because the second time around, more of their personality and stuff. So I feel like getting that connection. Like, often the first time around, there are students that I wouldn't refer to any job that has my reputation attached to it. But the second time around, it comes with my recommendation for them to get hired at places where I've worked. So yeah, I feel like there's a big transformation in some students the second time around.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's and sometimes, what I find is that sometimes, and when I say that, I refer to our curriculum and how our system works. I find that some students don't necessarily do well with the theoretical part of things, but when it gets to the hands-on stuff, they are really good, and that is also nice. But um, unfortunately, our system is not 100% focused on that quite yet. I hope it will change in the future, that the proper practical aspect of it gets more recognition than what it does, and than it should get more.
Yeah, I think my personal view is that the practical and the theory are both sides of the same coin. And I feel like one of my students that struggles in theory, I can apply the practical in such a way that it helps them remember or learn the theory, and vice versa. The students that are very good in theory but not good in practical, I can bring in the concepts of the theory in the practical courses, and they seem to grasp it a lot better. It's very difficult for someone to be good at everything. And so I guess I try to, yeah, you have to go and kind of tease out the aspects that they are good at, and then relate it to the stuff that they're not good at, to try to sort of even out their knowledge.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that, I believe in that. You should learn by doing, by experimenting, by making mistakes, and that's how you learn, that's how you grow, and how you improve. And our system, I don't know how your education system works, but our education system is not geared for that, unfortunately. Um, I think, and I don't want to be out of place in saying that, but I think that, that's something that we could consider, and it's something that I'm trying to bring in my way of teaching, is to, to bring that together better, and just use that ability, or the practical sense of it, a bit more.
Yeah, I can explain to you how at least the teaching that I do works because I teach in a I teach at a technical college similar to you, but it's technical in the sense that sorry, it's a college in the sense that it's post secondary. So once you're done your high school, you can go out into the trades. Specifically for me, it would be auto mechanics, and the province dictates that, or sorry, the state or the whatever the laws here state that in order to work on vehicles without supervision, you need a license. And that licensing system includes an apprenticeship program, which is what I teach. So, if everything was perfect, the student would leave high school and get a job at at an automotive shop, at a garage, and they would work there between 1 and 2 years, sort of learning the ropes from their coworkers. Then they would come to my school, and then I would teach them. Well, me and a couple other professors, because there's 5 major subjects, we would teach them for 2 months the underlying principles of auto mechanics, which we call level one. Then they would go back to their garage, work another year, and then they would come back to us for 2 months where they learn the intermediate principles, and then they go back to the workplace, work another year, come back, and then we teach them the advanced stuff, typically like the diagnostics and the advanced principles. And then once they're done that third semester, they would be able to go off and write their license. So they would be writing a test. If they pass this test with over 70%, they get their full journeyman's license, and then they can work on cars without any supervision. They can even, sign off on safety checks. They can make recommendations. They can start their own businesses or whatever. But in an ideal world, that's how our apprenticeship program works for the trades here.
Okay, yeah, it's by us. There's two roads for you to go on an apprenticeship or become a journeyman, like you call it, trade artisan, we call it. The one is similar to what you're saying. You go and that's where our school comes in as a technical school. When you leave here in grade 12, you already have what we call N3, which is basically already a level higher than what your entry level is to become a apprentice. And then you can then after school go and do apprenticeship, and that's about 2 years. And then in that time you need to do certain modules and certain things, and then you can go and write your artisan's exam. And if you pass it, you're an artisan, or like you say, a journeyman, then you're qualified mechanic or whatever the case might be. And then the second route we've got is if you work in a specific industry or trade for 5 years or longer, you can apply to go and do your trade test. And then again, if the government Department of Education allows you, you go, you do your test, and if you pass, you're a qualified artisan. But the difference is that any person can do anything without a license. You can do an electrical installation. You only need someone to sign it off. It does not. Someone who's got no electrical qualifications can wire an entire house and get a buddy to come and sign it off, and do the tests. And that's how it is in a lot of our trades. I think that's a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, I think that sounds a little scary to me because so the way it works here is that I can wire my own house if I want to, but if I get someone else to come to my house to wire it, that person needs to be licensed. I think it's one of those things where you're allowed to put yourself in danger, but you're not allowed to let anybody else put you in danger type thing.
Yeah. Now, unfortunately, any new installation, the rule says any new, or law says any new installation must be tested, safety tested and checked and signed off by a qualified and certified electrician. But it doesn't say that same certified electrician must do the installation. It just says he must sign it off and test it.
Okay. So I guess at least that electrician should have their license on the line if they don't do the testing properly, right? It would be still their professional license that would be on the line, I guess.
Yes, no, for sure. But the challenge in that system for me is that there's people who now don't have the qualification, who hurt the economics because they go into the industry doing the work of qualified people, pushing the prices down. And I'm not saying someone are not allowed to have an income, but if I've studied for X period of time, and someone else with no education in that field come in and take my job, which I've studied for, it's a bit of a difficult one.
Yeah, that does sound difficult. But I'll tell you, in my trade where it's protected, where you do need a license to work on cars and you have to go through the same system, it feels like the enforcement is not enough. And so it doesn't matter. There's like a ton of licensed technicians doing really crappy work. And so they're doing it for cheaper. They're spending less time. They're cutting corners. And they're still doing it even though there's a license on the line because enforcement is pretty lax. So, yeah, it's kind of like I don't think there's any real way to win this fight,
It's a flip side of the coin, that indeed it is. It's a bit of a bad one.
Yeah. Where does your passion lie though? Because so you're saying you're teaching mostly like digital and electronics. Is that really where your passion lies?
Yes, yeah. I that's what I studied. When I was in school, I wanted to do one of two things. I wanted to become an aviation technician or a medical electronics technician. Now, neither of those came to fruition, but in the time I've gained some experience, and I'd like to give it back. So, yeah, but my passion lies with electronics and digital systems, and now robotics as well. I really like that kind of toys.
Yeah, I love robotics too. I just it takes a lot of brain power to get into. You know what I mean? Like it takes a lot of thought into the mechanical design. It takes a lot of thought into the programming of the microcontroller or whatever you're using. It takes a lot out of you. Robotics is not an easy subject.
No, for sure not. We're starting a program now, and it's for sure it's going to take a lot, like you say. But the idea is that we already run the FLL First Lego League by our school. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Nope.
Not? Okay, that is First, the company First, they sponsor Lego League worldwide. And that is basically where the youngsters up until grade 9, which is 14, 15 years of age. I think, 15 or 16 years, whichever one, 16, sorry, is a cutoff age. They do, you get Lego, and then there's a robot controller in it, and you need to build a robot, and you need to program this, and it needs to, every year it gets a different game, and it needs to do certain missions in this game. So every year you need to redo the programming because the missions change and all that. So we do that, and now there's also an upgraded version of that, or a version for the senior students, which is called First Tech Challenge, where they move away from Lego. We use extruded aluminium and things like that to build the robot. It's not a Lego manufactured a controller. It's a different controller, a bit more high end than the Lego one, the EV3s. And then you've got a game and you need to do certain missions on this game with this robot. And then obviously, you take part in competitions with it and all kinds of things like that. And then there's other things involved in terms of projects that you need to run, fundraisers and awareness and all kinds of things like that.
I was about to say, because you said fundraiser, because when you're talking about aluminum extrusions, you're talking about, like, this is starting to get expensive, right? Like, it can't be every school that can afford to do this, right?
No, unfortunately, it is not. It is, at this point, it is quite costly. That kit, the starter kit, as they say, is, I think if I remember correct, about $1,800 if I remember correct. So it's not cheap. But the idea is that we as a school create a hub, and we've got some of this. We've got a kit. We've been sponsored with this kit by REV Robotics. Very honored about that as well. And then the idea is we create a hub here where we draw some of the other schools who can't get kits and equipment and involve them in it, and then grow from there. And hopefully we can raise enough funds to get another couple of kits to make it grow bigger even.
Is it against school policy to go look for like commercial sponsors, like people like Arduino or Adafruit or anything like that?
No, not at all. No.
Because I feel like I don't know the scale of their operations, but I feel like those kinds of companies would want the students to mess around with their stuff, so that when they go out into the workplace, they're going to be using prototypes from their equipment. Because I found out with on a podcast with a gentleman from Arduino, I forget his name now,
Andreas?
Yeah, Andrea Ricchetta, I think is his name.
Yeah,
and
I think so.
And he was telling me about all the line of pro things that they sell, and it's insane how many commercial customers are using Arduino products because they have like a line specifically for commercial stuff. So I feel like a company like Arduino would be a good match to get these kids working with their products, because then when they do get jobs, and they will get jobs in the field, especially with these programs by First Robotics, they'll be used to working with those products already, right? So they might recommend them to their employers.
That's also why I myself came with the idea of doing the robotics as well with the FLL and the FTC, is to take it even one step further, because I would love to get people like Adafruit and Illego and Arduino and Microbit and all those guys. I'd love to get them on board with us, because my planning is here for the school to have a competition, initially a local competition, where we have a robot wars like we saw it on TV. It's never been done here. So the idea of the robotics club is to work up to that, to start with the basics, but to have the end goal as to build a robot that's going to compete in a robot war against another robot, and some other things as well. Um, so that's some of the thoughts we've got, and it would be awesome to get people like that on board. And I think it's, like you say, I think it will be a good fit, and it will benefit, mutually benefit all of us.
Yeah, I wish. I've recently, I guess, because of chatting on the podcast with these excellent people. I mean, yourself included. But I recently I've been thinking about how I can take my knowledge and kind of just spread it around the community, for example. And that idea of starting like a local robot wars got me thinking just now that maybe it'd be cool if there could be like a mini class of robot war type stuff where even like maybe not even destruction, because some people can't afford to break things and replace them, but maybe there'd be like a circular ring or something, and you have to build a robot to push the other one out of the circle or something. That would be really neat to have the local kids compete. Maybe once COVID is dealt with, but
Yeah, that's exactly the line of thought we've got. And this is something which has not been disclosed even to my principal at this point in full as yet. The idea where we want to go. She knows that we are going to a robot war, and that's our end goal, I want to say, and she loves that idea. But the things around it is, yes, destruction is an issue with children, especially due to cost. But we can do it differently, and we can do it cheaper by using cheaper material for the robot. And if a company like Arduino comes on board or someone like that, you can make the controllers specific Arduino or whatever the case might be. And it's easy to repair if there is a problem. We're not wanting to go to the extent where we destruct or destroy another robot. Yes, we want to push them around. We want them to get stuck. The idea was, when I discussed this with my future son-in-law, the idea was, between us, we came up with the same idea of having almost like a sumo wrestling match inside a circle, like 100-meter or 50-meter sprints between drag races between the robots, all kinds of things like that. And you do it in a couple of sessions, not all on one day. It's a whole series of events. It's not just you get in a ring, you destroy each other.
Yeah. And there's definitely space for getting in a ring and destroying each other, but it's just, like you said, it's not inclusive, right? Not everyone can afford to destroy stuff. But yeah,
and you want to be inclusive.
Absolutely. That's a fantastic idea. I'll tell you what, if you come up with a set of rules, like no rush, like whenever you do come up with the concept for it, send me the set of rules, and I will build a robot up to those rules. And maybe I won't be able to compete because I'm across the globe, but at least it'll get some eyeballs on your project.
Oh, that's brilliant. I like that. Thank you very much, Simple. Much appreciated.
Yeah, no problem at all.
But we can let you compete as well, because you are quite welcome to come over and spend a week or two, yeah? And we'll give you a place in the hostel and show you around, and you can see how we do things as well.
I would love to visit South Africa, but I feel like it's going to be at least another year before traveling gets back to normal.
Yeah, no, for sure. I don't think it's something which is going to happen today or tomorrow, but bear in mind the offer is there and it is open, and when things get normal, you are welcome. Let's discuss it.
Yeah, well, I'll make this promise now. If I have the means to go over there with my robot and compete, when everything calms down, I will do it. So if I do have the means at that point, I will come over for sure.
Awesome. We'll see that you have the means.
Well,
You only need a plane ticket.
Yeah, I think that's the worst part because I think
Yeah.
I think a plane ticket there and back from Canada is probably going to be about maybe about $2,400 Canadian, something like that.
Yeah. 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 No, probably. But again, um, if some people get on board, um, there's no reason why not. It's going to give a lot of people a lot of uh, publication or
Publicity.
publicity. Yeah, the word slipped my mind.
Yeah, no
Um,
problem.
from something like that. I mean, you're a respected YouTube YouTuber, and so I believe that it's something which will benefit a lot of people.
Well, I wouldn't say respected quite yet. There are lots. I do have a very good audience, I have to say, but yeah, someone like Electro Boom or something endorsing you guys would be awesome. Someone with a lot of weight to push around, you know?
I hear you, but you need to start somewhere.
This is true. This is very true.
And it's all about relationships. Simple. I mean, to be honest, one is not going to get anywhere if you don't ask and if you don't build a relationship. It's not about just getting and receiving. It's also about giving. And that's the important thing. Is you need to be able to build a relationship, and people want to see that there's value for them as well. And it might not necessarily be monetary value. It might be something completely different, but they want to see value as well.
For me, the value is entirely in investing in this world's future. I mean, I'm in my,
Indeed.
I would say I'm in my early 30s. I'm 33. I don't know. I always forget how old I am. 33, I think. And I'm no longer the future. Like some stuff that I will do will have reverberations in the future, but it's honestly the generation below me that we need to invest in, because once you point them in the right direction, they're going to go off and do wonderful things. So really, like people my age, it's not too late to make a difference. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that the amount of good that a person, who's 16, 17 are going to do in their lives if you just point them in the right direction is just amazing. And honestly, most of them, all they need is to be pointed. I mean, they don't need their hands held. They just need to be shown the basics, and then they'll do the rest on their own. Like I really don't like the mentality that's that kids these days are lazy and stuff like that, because I don't see it. I see hardworking individuals, I see passionate individuals, and I see people who are, trying to make their reality better, and that'll make all of our realities better in consequence. So we need to invest in them.
I agree, but Einstein said it very well. He said you can't judge the IQ of a fish by its ability to climb a tree. And for me, our system pretty much feels like that's what we are wanting to do, our educational system. And then students or learners, and I'm speaking in general, in all spheres of education in our country. And then students and learners sort of are being perceived as not doing their work, or whatever the case might be, because the system forces them in a direction which they want to get to the end goal which the system gives, but the route they want to take is different because of who they are, their personalities, their backgrounds, their abilities, their skills, their mindsets, whatever the case might be.
Their culture, their priorities, their everything.
Exactly. And to me, I mean, that to me is a little bit, that's something we need to rectify. I can't change the system. The best I can do is to try and do the little bit I can with every youngster that cross my path.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see it in adults too. I had a gentleman who was taking one of the newer courses that I've developed with another coworker, and I think he was in his mid 40s, but he had two kids or three kids. One kid was constantly sick, had to be taken to the hospital often for examinations and treatment and whatever, and he couldn't work because he was taking this course to try to better his life. His ex-wife was making his life difficult, like not bringing the kids on time, not doing her part, according to him. Obviously, I only have his side, and he was expected to still succeed at this course. He was expected to put in the same work as another gentleman we had in the course, who didn't really have to work. His wife took care of the kids while he was doing schoolwork, and those two had very different outcomes at the end. And they both worked hard. It's just one didn't make it because he had so many responsibilities. And I know kids today, like high schoolers, some of the kids, they are the primary caregivers to their siblings. So we have to take that into account too. So sometimes when you see a kid is not doing his work, it may not be because he's lazy. It may be because he had other things to do, that were more important at the time.
I agree. I agree. I agree 100% with that. It's yeah, it's easy to stand outside and pass comment, and I talk to myself and about myself as well. I've also been guilty of that, um, passing comment about someone not doing their part or whatever. But we don't know the battles they're fighting, and
Exactly.
perhaps the important thing is that we just focus on loving each other rather than trying to push each other down. And if we care and we love for each other, well, we'll all make it in the end.
Yep. And I think the way, like, I don't really even know how to deal with students like that. The only way that I've been doing it is I just say, well, I get that you couldn't do your homework. Like, I don't want your excuse. I don't want to, like to me, it doesn't matter why you didn't do your homework, but I would tell them that, like, look at your test results. Like, your test results show me that you're not getting the concept. If you did your homework, you would be getting the concepts. So if you need to take time elsewhere to try to learn the concepts, I mean, that's fine by me, but I can't give you a passing grade if you don't pass, right? So
Exactly.
it's like, I tell them I understand they have other stuff at home, but I'm telling them do their best and don't be disappointed in a failing grade on a test if you spent way less time than the others on this because you had other stuff to do, right?
Yeah,
You can't go into that cycle of sort of getting upset at yourself if you have really other things you need to prioritize.
yeah, and that's a key word is prioritize, eh? And a youngster shouldn't need to prioritize anything except for what is his main focus in life at that point in time is his studies. But it's not how it is, sadly.
No, it isn't. And that's why I think these like these clubs where someone can get away from their kind of daily grind is important I don't know, for students and adults alike. Like
Yes,
something where they can throw their passion at and take a break from the craziness of the day. Like, for example, sometimes I'll just mess with something on my workbench here, and then I'll feel guilty that I didn't film a video of it. But I have to remind myself that it's important that I still have fun in doing these things. And sometimes the camera gets in the way of that. Not always, but sometimes it does. So I need to, cut myself a little bit more slack. And it's the same thing in these students. They need to cut themselves a little bit of a break.
yeah, indeed. And again, the other beauty from the clubs, a lot of well, the way we're planning to do it in any case, is that there's no wrong. If something doesn't work, it just means that try again. you've learned a way which doesn't work. It's not like, oh no, now you failed. And I think that is important as well. People are so bound by failure and things not working and not being good enough and all those kind of things, that just that feeling of, okay, it didn't work, but I managed to sort it out and get it to work without being told that I'm wrong, or that I'm a failure, or whatever the case might be, will build the the people's whole mindset and attitude and self-belief incredibly.
Oh yeah. I actually have a video coming out about this. I should I've been actually struggling to put it in the right words, so it should be coming out soon enough, but I realized that I really need to make a video about failure because it's something I do a lot. I make a lot of mistakes, and a lot of my things, when you see them on video, it's like version 10. But because it's on video and it's kind of compressed down, it feels to the viewer as if it's version 1. And I think it's really important for people to know that it takes, even the people that you feel like are experts, it takes them a couple tries at least to get it right often as well. So yeah, I do have a video coming out about this. I just need to get to it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I'm also a photographer, so when I take a photo, and I've gone through this myself fairly recently, in fact, I look at some people's photos and I see, goodness me, those are gorgeous. And then I look at my photos and I see I took 20 photos of a model or whatever, and one of them is good. And I think to myself, look at that guy, one photo, it's brilliant. But exactly what you said, it's only the brilliant one that's been posted. The others, you don't know about.
Absolutely. And I think, like I make it a point to tell my students, like when they're working on cars, and learning how to work on cars, I tell them that, I've made more mistakes than they've made attempts. And,
Yeah.
I've been in the trade for over 15 years now. I've been teaching for, 4-ish. I tell them straight up, I say, honestly, I have broken more things than you've attempted to fix. So the only way you're going to get there is by making mistakes, and not to worry about it. I don't stress about broken stuff or whatever. Like, we'll deal with it. If it was broken, it can be fixed.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important for people to know that, things happen. And yeah, I'm your professor right now, and I'm telling you that you're doing it the wrong way. But be advised, I was in your position before. I'm not better than my students. I am just more experienced. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And that's important, especially for us in the technical subjects and technical field of teaching. It's important that you, as a teacher or educator, inform your students and convince them that you also make mistakes. Even now, it doesn't matter how long you've been teaching or how long you've been in the trade, you also make mistakes. Things
Oh yeah.
doesn't just happen.
Yeah, constantly making mistakes. I mean, it happens.
Yeah, for sure.
And the more you make them, the better you are at fixing them.
Absolutely, because you learn how to repair.
Yeah, even, because in my profession, like working on cars, you'll always make the mistake on that customer's car, the one that's the one that's already an hour late by the time you got the job. Yeah, so you always make those mistakes, and then you learn quickly how to fix them.
Yeah. Or the difficult customer, that one who always likes to fight, nothing is good enough.
Yep.
You did an engine overhaul, and when they just did 100 kilometers since they got the car back, the rear wheel bearing failed, so it's your fault. I know.
Yep, that's the ever since club. Ever since you did my oil change, now my back wheel's fallen off. Yeah.
Indeed, sorry, yeah. When I started straight after school, I actually repaired. I first went to Technicon, which is in by us, it is in between the technical college and the university. At that point, there isn't Technicon anymore, but at that point, and I did a year or two there, and I didn't finish my qualification. I went to work. Finances became a bit pressing, and so on and so on. And I went to work, and my first job was as an electronic technician repairing TVs and audio and video and those kind of things. So, um, believe you me, I know exactly what you're talking about when it gets to that, because you'll be surprised. You think people are in a hurry for a car? My man, try a TV. They bring it in and they'll want to wait for it, and then they get cross at you if it's not done last week.
They're already late for their show by the time they bring it to you.
Yeah. So I share that sentiment. I know I know where it comes from.
Do you have any personal projects that you're really proud of, electronics projects or others?
I was listening to your podcast with Matau now the
Yep.
other day,
Matu makes, yep.
and yeah, and when I was listening to it, I realized I'm pretty much like him. I start a lot of things and I don't finish them. Um, so finished products at this point in time, no. I've got a couple of projects which I've started with, which is based on what we do at school. One of them is actually, we call it a digital trainer. I don't know if that's what it's called all over, or a digital analog trainer. Basically, a breadboard with where you can build a project and test it. Do all the testing and all that and all that. But those things are pretty expensive here in South Africa, because I don't think there's anybody manufacturing it here. As far as I know, it all needs to come from overseas. Or there might be one company, in fact, but they are still pretty expensive. And I started designing um, something like that. And yeah, then COVID happened, and I needed to do all my classes in on video. And as you know, a half an hour video is not an half an hour.
Very
So
true.
it it fell on the wayside a little bit. And then another one is, I'm actually wanting to design, and I've started with that as well, an Arduino Uno, but just a little bit a modified one for some specifics that I'm needing. So yeah, but there's a couple of projects that I've got in mind. As I say, I'm also in photography, so I still want to do a decent lighting system for me. And then just this afternoon, I was driving, and I was thinking, also based on Mattel makes his spider cam. I was thinking, why do I need to go through all that to do the wires? Why not just use linear rails and let it run as a like a CNC machine on the Z axis on linear rails, and control it from the cell phone or
Yeah,
something
that's
like
very
that. So
true.
if I want to do for, and that's specific for doing video, um, in my workshop or study, whatever you call it, um, for the YouTube channel and for my students. So unfortunately, nothing. No, not nothing completed. I've built an amplifier, but that's many moons ago. Um, and in between the moves in life, that somewhere got misplaced and so on. So I suppose that was quite a nice one.
Yeah, I've got like a similar problem with starting and not finishing. So that's why 2021 is the year of projects for me. So I'm trying to, so I've got, let's see, I finished the snow speeder this year, which is great. I'm working right now on a larger 3D printer. So I've got the frame set up. I took video of it, but
Yeah,
it's not enough to make an episode.
I saw the your mailbag on that 3D printer.
Yeah, yeah. I released the mailbags because I figured I would be closer to releasing the video, but right now it's on the wayside for now. I've got some upgrades to do on my current 3D printer, which is going to be great. So those two 3D printer things, and I've got a few projects this summer that I need to finish before the end of summer. So I've got an RC. A remote controlled kind of like a toy boat, which I think
I saw
just
that
went,
too. Yeah,
yeah, on the latest mailbag video.
yeah.
So that one I'm actually gonna finish it relatively soon. I have one more project to do first, which is my commission project, which the poor gentleman who's paid me to design a device for him. It's been over a year now, so I feel really bad. I keep telling him that he can have his money back, but he doesn't want it. He just wants me to do it. So that's another thing I have to do. So yeah, I've got a couple projects. Like this year, I figure I'm going to have about 10 projects completed before the end of the year, where usually I'm more of a start but not finish type guy. So really trying to focus in on getting stuff done.
Yeah, I also want to do that, and pretty much what Mattel makes also said is, I think that's part of my growth process with the robotics club and all that, is also to get the YouTube channel very much more active than what it is, and do more videos, and not only theoretical videos but also practical videos where I make something and I actually complete it, and where you can see the end result as well.
Yeah, but be careful because I really like the theoretical videos. So make sure not to skip out on those, because that's the side. A lot of people can do the practical stuff at home, but they need that instruction for the theoretical. So
Yeah,
I
no,
would
for
I would
sure.
yeah. So I just want to take 1 second just to plug your YouTube channel. You don't have a custom URL, I don't think. So if the listeners just want to go in the description below or in the show notes, there'll be a link to Faffa's YouTube channel. And I want you guys to go over there and subscribe. At the time of recording, I think he's got 6 subscribers. So, I mean, I think we can push it way higher up than that.
Yeah, we need it, eh? We need it.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend anybody listening to go at least subscribe.
Have you sorry, you said that you did subscribe, and you said that you have watched those videos. Um,
I've only caught the bistable multi vibrator. I actually
okay,
the other ones are in my watch now folder, in
yeah,
my watch
uh,
later folder. Sorry.
okay. And your feedback on that, if I may ask that, yeah, on the one that you've watched.
Well, I mean it's good. I mean I don't know. I feel like it maybe no, I don't know. I like it. There's a diagram up and you explain everything. It's very theoretical, so I really like that aspect. If you wanted to draw a broader audience, you might want to be a bit more entertaining. But I mean, I think for what it is, it's perfect.
Yeah. Look, I can be entertaining. I tell you what, I'll post. I'll have a look. I'll post one of my other videos just now after this, which I've done for my students also last year during lockdown, but it won't have the intro and all that, because in the meantime, I believe that the intro is a little long and also on, so I need to rework that. Um, but if you want to see entertaining, have a look at that one. But it's also theoretical. It's very much theoretical, but it's also pretty entertaining. It had my
It's very
students in a laugh the other day.
it's very difficult to comment on other people's YouTube channels, especially if they've only made like I only see
Yeah.
four videos of yours, and that's because you have to imagine that it takes you a few repetitions for yourself to be comfortable with it. So like the biggest comment I could say about your YouTube channel is it still feels like it's not 100% your comfort zone is filming yourself and putting them up. I feel like if you keep the exact same formula and make 10 more videos, number 10 will be better than what you have right now, based solely on the fact that you're more used to it. So it's really once you get more used to it, then that's the time where the criticism can come in and
Yeah.
make improvements, because right now you're still feeling yourself. Like for me, I have like almost 300 videos, and it took me about 100 videos to really get into the swing of things. And still today, like I find like my videos are constantly improving by very little bits without any outside criticisms, like without anybody telling me this is what you need to change. You'll see as a creator, you'll grow the same way that as a electronics hobbyist, your knowledge grows. You're just the way you
Yeah.
feel about making videos will change as well.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm with you. When I asked for feedback, maybe I should have categorized that in the sense of from a technical aspect. You as a viewer viewing it, was it clear enough? Was it sound quality good enough? The video quality good enough? Um, do I speak slow enough or too slow or too fast or those kind of things? You hear what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
And
that's
yeah,
important to me.
and that's a definite yes on all fronts. But this is don't fall into that trap, because no matter how good you explain, no matter how well you film, no matter how good the audio quality is, there always is better. So
Hmm.
I wouldn't even get bogged down on that. I would just
Okay.
explain it the way you explain it, film it however way you can film it, and get the audio as clear as you can get it. I think those things are secondary to content.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, so don't worry too much about it unless you're looking for like if you want to be a mainstream YouTuber with 50 million subscribers and just doing like news type content. I wouldn't worry too much about audio quality, video quality, and the type of explanation you do, especially the type of explanation, because everybody understands differently. So that's a very difficult one to comment on. Like you can make a video explaining it one way, and half your viewers are going to be like, I don't understand, and you explain it a different way, and then the previous half won't understand. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, I think Brian Locke, when he was on the podcast, he was saying like the real benefit is everybody trying to explain it their own way, because everybody understands it their own way, right?
Yeah. No, you're right with that. You're right with that.
Yeah, which is I'm thankful, because some of the stuff I teach has some overlap with what my coworkers teach. So sometimes I'll teach what a coworker already taught the same group, but in a different way, and then they'll teach stuff that I've taught in a different way, and it really helps those students that don't understand really get to it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a repeat and also a different perspective at the same time, which which does help.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Do you
even
have? Go ahead. Go ahead.
no.
I was gonna say, do you have a favorite, like a go-to microcontroller or something that you use for either your own projects or for teaching?
At this point, Arduino, purely because it's the one that I'm most familiar with. But I do want to play around with the ESP32 still, and I, I I actually think I've got a couple. I must just check again, and then also Raspberry Pi. I've got one or two of those, and I've got plenty microbits. But at the moment, it is a question of Arduino is my um, my choice for the moment, and purely because it's that's what I've played around with a little bit, and it's only a little bit. I'm still fairly new at that as well.
Yeah, and me too. Just to be clear, I am no expert in microcontrollers. I still fall back to Arduino and writing code in Arduino C, not because it's the easiest language, but because it's the one I understand the most right now, and the Arduino is the board I understand the most. So that's where I go for that. But I do realize that there's a lot more potential in the ESP32s if I
Yeah.
can unlock it, if I can get to use it.
But again, it's a growth process, and that's also part of the idea of the club is to force me to to learn these other things which I want to do anyway, but to do it now and not put it to the wayside. So there's a lot of the best way of learning something is actually to teach someone else.
That's very true.
I find that uh, quite I mean I've been involved with electronics for many years, and there's some concepts which only once I started becoming a teacher or started teaching, which I realized, damn, is that really how it works? I sort of understood it, but not like that. So, and then it's not necessarily a rocket science concept. I can't now think of something specific, but I do know there were things like that.
I've been involved in electronics since 2016. That's when I started my YouTube channel. I think it's 2016, and I still don't know how an op amp works. So there we go.
Okay, I'll post a video on regarding the op amp specifically for you. All right.
Yeah, do it. I've been meaning to. Dave Jones had the EV blog. He had a great
Yes,
video
that
on
guy's
op
brilliant.
amps. Yeah, he is. He is. He did. I think he did a 3-part series on op amps, and the first one is an op amp as a comparator, and
Yeah,
he. I think he states that the op amp as the comparator is the simplest form of using an op amp, and I wanted to go through those videos and build those circuits and do some experimentation. And then once I'm done, then release videos on that subject to see if I can
yeah,
help people in my situation. But, I have a list, probably, a couple kilometers long, which is, a couple miles long for the people in the US that don't understand what I'm talking about, of projects I want to do, but I just don't have the time to do them. Like I need
yeah,
to organize myself somehow and just like, because honestly, if I had the motivation and the energy and the brain capacity left, I could probably crank out like 10 videos a day and I wouldn't run out of subjects for, a year. But
yeah,
it's just, it's a lot of mental work to think of a concept, execute the concept, video the concept, then, edit, do the thumbnail. It's a lot of work.
Now that's where the most work is in my opinion with the videos that I've made. You've only seen 3 or 4 of them on the channel, but I've probably made about 20 or 30 videos in the past year for my students, and most of the time an effort goes into editing. And maybe it's my own fault because I don't want, like I'm talking now, every now and again there's I don't want that in my video when I'm teaching, when I'm explaining, because I feel that um, it's important that people don't get a hesitation when I teach them something. So to get rid of all that and mistakes and the dog that is barking or some maniac is racing around or something like that, all the variables to try and get them out, then it takes me a million years for half an hour a video clip, and Yeah, that's most of the time, in my opinion.
Yeah, and my wife lives with me, and she has to be very quiet for the 1 or 2 hours it takes to record a podcast every 2 weeks. So,
And that's
you
difficult
know,
for a woman, eh? Sorry, did I say that out loud?
she's she's
Sorry.
she's real brilliant. So I wouldn't worry about
No,
that about
no,
her.
I'm teasing. I'm teasing.
Yeah, I know you are.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I'm fortunate. I've moved to the school premises now a week or so ago. Um, but where I was, my study was inside the house. So everything that's in the house is a bit of a problem. Now my study is at the bottom of our flat downstairs. So whatever happens in the house doesn't bother me. So yeah, it is better this way for me in this aspect as well.
Yeah, so my workshop is in the basement, and my wife, who does a lot of work on the computer too, she streams on twitch.tv, and she has a YouTube channel about gaming, and she does a lot of things like she's learning programming and stuff like that. So she's very involved in computers. Her workspace is on the second floor, so we have a floor separating ourselves, but I mean, the kitchen's on the main floor, and it's not like I'll make her starve for 2 hours just because I have to record a podcast, right? So she's careful, and then there's no problem.
Yeah, yeah, it's a little bit of respect. That's
Yeah,
all it is,
absolutely.
and consideration.
Yeah, and also like I also tell her like some of the things are not like important. Like for example, when I'm teaching from home, a little bit of noise in the background is not the end of the world. The students have more noise in their backgrounds than I have in mine because most of them live with a family and they have siblings and pets and whatever. We have no pets here. It's just me and the wife. We have no kids, nothing. So we don't have to worry about any of that. So I tell her like, don't worry about that. And when I'm recording YouTube videos, like for the most part, if it's like little noises or whatever, I can just like spot edit them out. It's not a big deal. It's mostly the podcast that has to have more pristine audio.
Yeah, but it's good, doing these things. It's good, and it also, I suppose, it depends on from person to person which kind of or what kind of person you are on the quality that you're wanting to produce. I mean, um, you anybody can make a video and put it out there, and or a podcast or a vlog or a blog or whatever, and people might like it, but it might not be perfect. But it's all dependent on you as a person, I'm sure. What is the quality or the benchmark you want to put there for yourself?
Oh,
And
for sure.
yeah, and I'm looking at it this way. Obviously, with what the broader picture, with what me and my school have got in mind, we need to look good. We need to be, we need to put a good impression out there because we want people to associate with us. People with some, some respect and following and all that. And if I can't put out a decent, high quality video or something, um, I can't expect someone like an Arduino or uh, another maker or simple electronics or someone of that um, nature to support me or my school. So
I think like I've said it before, but I think the ideal in terms of video quality would be This Old Tony. I don't know if you watch his channel, but he is fantastic. Like he's a machining channel, and not only is his video quality top notch, but his presentation is top notch. Like everything, he's funny. He does, he's very informative. His channel is awesome. I wish I could, that's my eventual. I want to be there one day, but it takes a while. It takes some time.
For sure, for sure. But again, I don't know. I suppose it's if I suppose one also needs to look at it and say that, look, if you don't start to do it, it's not going to happen. So it's better to start, even if it's not perfect or not very good, than to wait until you think you are at the point where you are very good. So yeah, I suppose that's also a point of view.
I totally agree with you, 100%. I would say if any listeners of the podcast are thinking of making a YouTube channel about something they're passionate about, just do it. Your first video is going to be terrible and you're going to hate it, but it's okay because your second video will be better than that one and your third one and so on. Yeah. So I would say if anybody's hesitant, just do it.
Yeah. And it's awkward looking at yourself or at the camera and you don't really know where to look and it's awkward, but you know what? So what? Just do it.
Yeah. It's only, I have to tell the people that are hesitant as well, it's only awkward for you. Everybody else doesn't see it awkwardly like you do. It's only awkward for you.
Very true.
So have you listened to the podcast before, Faffa?
Yeah, I've listened to a few. I've listened to your one with Matao. I've listened to your one with another maker. I've also listened to the one from another maker with you. Also Andreas. Although that one I only listened part of. Yeah, there's a few others. There was also the one lady. Who was she now again?
Only had 2 ladies on so far, so it's either Billy Rubin or Clarissa from Make It and Fake It.
Clarissa, yeah.
So then you know exactly what's coming towards the tail end of the podcast is I have a question for you that I ask all my guests.
Yes, I know, but I can't remember what it is.
That's fine. So here it goes. So you have a government grant to start any business that you want to start. You don't have to worry about profitability or anything. The government would just top you up. But you do have to provide a service or a product. What kind of business do you start?
Exactly what I'm doing now. Teaching, educating. I would go big with the robotics. Because I firmly believe that's the future of our youngsters. Especially in places like Africa and South Africa where there's a lot of poverty. Not only by us, all over the world for that matter. It's something which gives them an immediate tool, even from a young age, to generate for themselves. And it gives them self-confidence from a young age to know what they are doing. So, yeah, that's what I would do. If I get a grant, I would really go big with what I'm busy with at the moment.
So what you're saying is you're in the perfect job, but you just need the budget to make it, pop.
Yes, indeed.
So if anyone is listening that owns a large company and would like to make a donation, contact Faffa.
I would love that. Thank you very much.
I'm sure he'll shout you out on his YouTube channel and put a banner up at the school.
For sure. For sure. We will look if anybody, and that includes Arduino, or Microbit, or Raspberry Pi, or whoever, it doesn't matter. If anybody are willing to contribute to our program, our robotics program at the school, and not only that, I need to say this before we close as well. Although I keep on referring to the robotics and the Legotronics and the first tech challenge, this is also in general for our electrical department, because we do want to become the technical school of choice in our country again, and indeed not only in our country, in the world. I would really love to get international students to my school and teach them electrical. So this is not only about the robotics program, but the robotics program at this point I'm wanting to build up as the flagship of our electrical department and our school. So yeah, that we will definitely give you mileage on every front that we can.
Yeah, and also you can feel good that you're helping the future because honestly, kids and people who are willing to learn stuff, they are our future. We can't have a future without people that want to better it, basically.
Absolutely, absolutely. Can I, before we go, Simple, can I ask you something?
Absolutely not. No, I'm just kidding. Of course.
Well, even if you were serious, I would have asked you anyway. So
Oh, okay. Well, that's pretty
because
rude.
that's just who I am. I struggle to understand no sometimes. No, I'm teasing. You mentioned that EEV channel. You mentioned him, and you said that you would like to take some of his stuff, and you mentioned specifically the op amps and build it and all that, and then make videos of that. So here's my promise to you, or my offer to you, which is a promise. You give me a list of um, topics, and I will make, if I haven't done so already, I will make videos of that, um, theoretical videos of that, and I will try and incorporate a little bit of practical guidance if I can and if at all possible. And I will put it on my channel, and I'll obviously let you know of it, and then you take that and you do your bit with it.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan. I've got a massive list for you if you want.
You give the list, and I will do my best to get them out.
Yeah, like I can even give you a sample now if you want to know the types of things
Yeah.
that might be coming. So one thing that I need to learn is calculating time constants.
Oh yeah,
So
that's easy enough.
okay, yeah, maybe for you, not for me.
I could give you a quick one on that. Quick. Time
You
const.
could try, but I mean, I'll tell you, I am difficult. My brain does not cooperate most days. But go ahead, shoot it
Okay.
so that the audience has a chance
Yeah.
to tell me how far I've missed the mark.
Yeah. Okay. Quite simply, time constants is the time it takes for a capacitor to charge from completely discharged to fully charged, or then discharged from fully charged to um, completely discharged. However, the confusion with time constants comes in with this. We call it time constants, and to calculate that, there's always a charging resistor. So you need the charging resistor value and the capacitor value, and you multiply those two with each other. That gives you your time constants. Okay?
So far, so good. I've read this part before, so far
Okay.
so good.
Okay. Now, the thing is, that is not the full charge or discharge. That is only 1/5. Because the full time constant to charge or discharge a capacitor is 5 time constants. So to get the full time for a capacitor, um, which is charged fully to discharge, or which is completely discharged to charge fully, is 5 times the time constants.
But it happens exponentially, doesn't it? Like it starts
It
really
does.
fast
It
and
does.
slows
Yes.
down.
Yes. It does. It does.
Okay.
Yeah. The first.
Okay.
Okay. I'll make a video on that one for you, explaining it, with that exponentially and all that and all that.
Then I have to say, since I'll have a list of things that I need to learn and I need to internalize, I'd like to say that the listeners, if you're on a platform that allows for comments, I would like you guys to also go down in the description and let us know what concepts you're having trouble with. Because maybe I already know about these things and I can even get started on those things separately, and maybe Faffa can get the more complicated things going. So I believe that knowledge should be free. That's my number one guiding principle in education. And so if I can make a video to teach you guys something, I will do it. And obviously Faffa is offering to do the same. So let us know in the comments below if there's a concept that is so foreign to you or that you need explained to you. We will try our best.
I agree, and I'm 100% on board with you on that.
Yeah, maybe eventually once we do this back and forth, we can make a combined playlist with all the concepts, probably in order that they should be learned or something. And then we'll have sort of like your video, my video, your video, my video. And then if other people want to add to it, we can just make a big resource for people to go look for it. We
can indeed do that. I've got no problem with that at all.
Well, that sounds great. Is there any, do you have any closing thoughts for the podcast? Anything you'd like the audience at home to know about?
Yes, I just want to again thank you very, very much, Simple, for this opportunity. Not only for me as Faffa, but also for my school. Like I said, we are the oldest technical school in South Africa. 126 years old this year. And we really want to become a school of choice like we were at some point, not only for South Africa, but for international students as well. And my heart lies with electrical and specific electronics and digital and robotics, those kind of things. So please, if you've got anything like Simple said, if there's anything that you as a listener want explanation on in terms of electronics, please drop it in the comments below. I will do my best to get a video out as soon as possible to answer that and to try and explain it to you, possibly in a way that you would enjoy and benefit from.
And if I could just say that it truly is my honor to have you on as a guest. Don't sell yourself short. You're a very interesting person, and we had a great conversation. So the pleasure is not all yours. It's on my end too.
Thank you very much. I do take those words kindly.
And for those of you listening, all the links relevant to the conversation today will be in the description below. And make sure you leave comments with what you liked, what you didn't like about the podcast. And we hope to catch you on the next one. Thanks for listening, guys.
Cheers.